Today we're going to talk about social media addiction and how I have dealt with it, how I am still dealing with it, and why I think it's so problematic, especially for our generation. I will take a quick second to recognize that there are definitely much more severe, serious cases of addiction out there. If you are dealing with anything of that sort, please go and get help. As someone just very openly that has never dealt with drug addiction or alcohol addiction or what is seemingly more severe forms of addiction, this is the only topic that I can talk about because I've definitely dealt with social media addiction and frankly probably still dealing with social media addiction. If we're being very honest with ourselves, you and I, you are probably dealing with social media addiction. I would argue most people on earth today that have access to the internet probably deal with social media addiction. The same with the other addictions that I talked about, but even more so, these things are created, quite literally designed, algorithmically programmed to make you addicted to it. In some ways, can you even blame these companies? Recently, Facebook got whistle-blown, or should I say Meta got whistle-blown, and people were like, oh my gosh, they knew that they were making teenage girls feel bad about their bodies and making people super polarized, and they were still doing it. I was more shocked at the fact that people were shocked about this. This company profits off of advertisements, and for you to be on this platform and continue to click and give you information on who you are and be fully immersed in this virtual experience. They are incentivized in every way to keep you. And what better way to keep you than feed you negative, polarizing content that makes you feel kind of bad about yourself, but also want you to feel bad about others and continuing the cycle. So back to the topic of social media addiction. Looking back, I think I've always been addicted to social media, and I've definitely been more adept or inept to be more addicted than others. I'm a firm believer that people don't change. And looking back, looking at my current behavior of how I deal with social media and looking back at how I dealt with social media, I've always been relatively more inclined to be addicted to social media. During middle school and high school, I was obsessed with Facebook, and I somehow went cold turkey at the end of high school and has not really touched Facebook since, but in a slightly exaggerated way, if Facebook didn't exist, I think I would have gone farther in life, or at least made it to a better college. I was on Facebook 24/7, chatting people 24/7, talking to girls on Facebook Messenger 24/7, posting stupid statuses like for truth is 24/7. There was a phase that I was addicted to Twitter, and I think I might be going back into it. I've been addicted to Instagram for a while. I went cold turkey on Snapchat, which I was addicted to. I'm technically addicted to YouTube. The list can go on and on and on. I've definitely always been addicted to social media. I think the most recent addiction that I had to really forcefully stop, but also the market stopped for myself, is when Clubhouse came out during peak COVID, and I was super lonely, and this was super cool. And as someone that openly knows that I'm relatively gifted at talking, have a pretty unique voice, and had a lot of time during this time, I hit 52 hours one week on Clubhouse. It was like a full-time job. Bottom line being, I'm someone that's very addicted to social media. I think there's a number of components that make me this way. One, I am very extroverted. I love interacting with people, and if there's a way to interact with people by the masses all at once through a single click of a button, why wouldn't I do it? Secondly, as I said before, I think I'm pretty good at talking, writing words, and making content, so it automatically feeds into my ego. And three, I was born right at the cusp, 1997, of the transition between the analog and the digital world, where parents obviously don't fully understand the harms and effects of this. And hopefully this is a good segue into me saying, me as a parent, I'm going to be much better at trying to control my kids' access into social media. Bottom line, I think all these stars aligned, or I guess misaligned, for me to be born as someone that is more inclined to be addicted to social media. This video is not to serve as me as some champion of combating social media addiction. I'm literally a walking paradox in the sense that I am creating a video about social media addiction and about to post this on a social media channel, advertise it through various social media channels, and have you as someone that is probably also addicted to social media buy into/view what I'm creating. We're all perpetrators, we're all victims, but we're also all criminals in this cycle of content consumption, content creation, content exposure, and content addiction. We just can't get enough of it. I'm actually not going to take this time to talk about the typical things that are talked about, or at least what I think are typically talked about when talking about social media addiction, like always posting the positive sides of your life, so therefore making everyone feel bad, because not everyone can always be positive unless you are living in the riches, or you're a celebrity, or you feel happy all the time, and you're spreading positivity through your social media story stories and posts. That could be an entire video of its own, and I really try not to do this because I know that that is such a negative effect of social media. I've definitely dealt with it. The thing that I want to focus on, and the reason why I think social media addiction really is harmful, is this idea that I want to term as accessibility. Accessibility. For the first time in human history, and I'm about to say some controversial stuff starting now, so if you are typically offended by such things, I would just skip this video and watch out for my next career-related thing. But here we go. We have gotten rid of, or at least pretended to get rid of, these ceilings or barriers to entry into societies, places in life, or the identity in which we carry. What do I mean by that? Because we're all united under single mediums like Instagram, like Snapchat, like YouTube, kind of like this very meta relationship of you watching me in this video, we grow the subconscious thought that we might be able to become such access to the people that we're viewing on the screen. I think this is very hard to deny. And this distance between us and them, us being normal folk and them being the people out there doing crazy cool stuff or super beautiful or super talented or achieving the things that we hopefully want to achieve, because this distance has become ever so much more narrow, or at least the perceived distance has become ever so much more narrow, I think we growingly feel even worse for ourselves because it feels like we should be able to do these things. There is almost no excuse for us not doing these things, but we're not accomplishing it. See, back in the day when people like celebrities were separated by television a long distance away, because it's probably very unlikely that you'll show up in television. When news anchors and Supreme Court justices and politicians were distanced away by appearing on the news or appearing away from us in Congress, the distance between us and them was very far. We felt it physically. It was distance away from us. There was no way for us to approach them. Ever more so now through various platforms like LinkedIn, through various platforms like YouTube, where you see a guy who might be younger than you, who you perceive as potentially more successful than you or have gone through the career path that you've wanted to, and you see him in a t-shirt that has a picture of himself talking to a camera in a high school looking bedroom, you growingly consciously think, if he can do it, I can probably do it. If he's doing it, why can't I do it? Wait, if he's doing it and I'm not doing it, then am I a failure? I found myself to be making these comparisons to people I really shouldn't be even comparing myself to. People that don't even make sense for me to compare to. Back in the day when I was young, before the age of social media, it made sense to be jealous of your friend next door who had a PS3 when you only had a PS2. It made sense during high school for you to be jealous of that taller, better looking dude who could get the girl that you wanted, but you couldn't because they're valid comparisons. They're at least within reach and in the same level that you can possibly attain. It makes logical sense because they exist in the same sphere as you. As you traverse through Instagram, as you traverse through YouTube, and you find individuals that on paper you are not the same as them. Just bluntly speaking, I am not Ryan Gosling, I am not PewDiePie, I'm not Logan Paul, but you feel almost some level of personal connection to them because you're able to meet them via the social media app or communicate with them through the chat service or through text, and they feel personal to you because they're talking to you through this screen. They're talking to you via the camera and almost feeling like a friend that's one FaceTime call away. It's impossible to deny that there is some level of subconscious thought that starts building, thinking, if they're doing that, why am I not doing that? If they can do it, then I can probably do it. Reality is, there's probably a reason why they're that famous or they're that successful, or maybe there isn't. Maybe it's just a number of chance or timing, a wave they've ridden, or the amount of effort they've put in, plus all those things. Regardless, I think this overexposure to success, this overexposure to beauty, to talent, makes us feel like it's something that we all should be able to achieve and attain because they seem so close. They seem so one step away from you because they're sharing this through a medium that you're also part of, but you're simply not partaking in. That is kind of a scary thought. In conclusion, I have tried multiple times to quit social media. There has been successful campaigns like Facebook and Snapchat, like I've mentioned before. I took a hiatus from Twitter for a while and I'm now back more for working purposes. Obviously, YouTube I wouldn't really consider an addiction, but even YouTube, there's been times where I watch videos of people doing cool things that I really shouldn't be comparing myself to. I watched videos like Yo-Yo Ma playing cello and go, dang, like, why am I not playing cello at that level? Because I've never played cello. I've never practiced cello. I'm not meant to play cello. I'm never going to play cello like Yo-Yo Ma. But these weird thoughts start coming in because I could see like a vlog by Yo-Yo Ma saying, hey, what's up? I'm not sure if Yo-Yo Ma actually vlogs, but that makes me feel like I'm friends with Yo-Yo Ma or I know Yo-Yo Ma personally, and it makes me put him at a similar level as I am, even though he is not. He has put in decades of work while I have not. I think the same goes for me and you as you watch my videos. Not that I'm anything, but you could be seeing, oh, this 24-year-old kid who's done banking before and now he's a YouTube channel that people kind of watch. Why am I not doing that? I happened to ride a wave during the pandemic where people were watching videos. I happened to take good timing into the banking world where people didn't make banking videos that much. It's not because I'm great. It's not because you're missing out on anything, nor me doing this makes me any better of a person. I think this toxic mentality will continue to happen as the gap gets even narrower and narrower, and things like Cameo and other aspects of social media come in where it starts to bridge the gap between them and us, and it makes me feel like, why can't I be them? We're gonna growingly become very sad, angry, toxic people. That is me with a very negative aspect of life. Of course, social media has its positives. I'm gonna stop talking now before I get too sad and ranty. My one sentence summary of the day is follow me on Instagram at Brian_John and follow me on Twitter at TheBrianJohn, and continue to subscribe. As always, I'll see you guys next time. Let's go.